I was in thought about timelines, and I'm always kind of just refreshing. I don't know, just thinking about it. And I said this would be a great way to explain some things to people. So, if you are new here, you don't know who I am, my name is Kelly Marisha. I am an emotional wellness practitioner, and I am also an expert in quantum jumping. So, I love teaching about it, love talking about it, and this is how I look at quantum jumping, my language. This is just my language. I'm not saying that other people that are experts in quantum jumping don't know what they're saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is the language that I used that helped me to make sense of quantum jumping and what was it. So when it comes to quantum jumping, I think of it more like timeline jumping. And I want to explain what I believe about timelines and what they are and how they come about. So, if you have not seen the video yesterday that I made talking about that, I don't believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, and not the way that Christians believe in the Holy Ghost. It's a different. I have a different interpretation of it, and I went into that. So, if you're interested in that video, make sure you check that out. It is in the playlist with this video. But one thing that I understand about timelines is this. A lot of times in movies, timelines are depicted as almost like, I don't know, people kind of just envision timelines as this, right? But what I know timelines can be is it can be lateral, they can be forwards and backwards. Timelines can be diagonal. Timelines can be all types of directions. And they can be more directions than what I have right here, but this paper is two-dimensional, so I can only go so deep with a two-dimensional piece of paper. But if you're a person that has graduated into the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension in your thought processes, in the way that you perceive things, you could imagine what more dimensions would look like if I could, draw them on a piece of paper. But you just can't with a piece of paper that is 2D. You can make things that look like three-dimensional things. Remember we used to make the blocks like this? So you can give the illusion of a 3D thing, but at the end of the day, this is still a very much two-dimensional drawing. So anyway, timelines, okay? Let me write this on top so people can know what we're talking about. And if you like anything about this video, make sure that you like it, subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in timelines and learning about, what all this stuff, what my view of it and how I use it and how you have seen people can see my life, especially if you've been following me in the last 3 years, that I was homeless in 2022. And I am now living in a beautiful gated community here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I have a townhome that I live very comfortably in. So people have witnessed me quantum jump. I did it on purpose in front of people so that you could see it. You can go all the way back to my documented journey when I moved here in 2022. If you go back and look at my videos, I took videos of me driving down here. I drove. Part of my quantum jump was driving down here. But anyway, timelines. Timelines can go in a lot of different directions, right? So it's important that you know this because the thing with timelines is this. Let's say that you are here, okay? This is the location. This is where you are. But you now have this zeal about yourself that you're saying, you know what? I am not who I am going to be. I am not the person that I want to be. There is a version of me that is greater, stronger, faster, smarter, more articulate, more tidy, that's more sure of themselves. There is a version of me that exists, right? And you're right. That version of you can exist on any timeline. And even in this paper, I want you guys to remember that timelines are unlimited. You have unlimited. Unlimited. Listen, I have to stop and sound things out. You guys know, if you don't know, I'm dyslexic as fuck. So there will be some misspellings and all this jazz, but it doesn't matter because my information is legit, baby. You can't beat me on talking. You can beat me on spelling bee, but talking and knowing what I know, you can't touch me. So anyway, Timelines are unlimited. Where do timelines come from? Let me answer that first. Where do timelines come from? How do they start? How are they created? You created them. You created the timelines. That's really important to know. I think it's an E in there, timelines. That's really important to know. Why is it important for you to know? It's important for you to know that, and I don't care how you put it, okay? You can say, you are God, and this is me, right? This is my thing, right? Or you can say, God is within you. It doesn't, you know what, whatever way you can make it work, make it work. I chose I am God because I needed it to make sure that I needed my energy to know that I was the ultimate, that there was nothing higher than me, that there was nothing that could destroy me. There's like, you can destroy this body, but it is impossible for you to destroy my energy. My energy is sure. My energy is who I am. My energy is unshakable. It's I have responsibility over it in this lifetime. I tell it what to do, where to go. It is me. There is no authority higher than me. Some people may not be comfortable with that, and I can get with that. So, saying that the Spirit of God is within you, or that God is within you, I think that can work too, right? I'm just saying that this is where I land, is that I am God. And so how are we creating timelines? Well, you're creating timelines. Every potential that you could have made in a decision creates a timeline. Every time you sit and daydream, and if you're the type of person that can literally daydream like down years, you've created timelines where you can just sit and kind of imagine yourself where you have this moment, this big moment that you've been waiting for, whatever that moment is. Everybody typically has something that they're waiting for in life, like this big thing, or a lot of people, I won't say everybody. And from that moment, from that big thing that you're seeking, that you're wanting, that you're yearning for, there is a version of yourself that's after that moment, right? And every time you have these kind of daydreamings where you're just daydreaming and you're developing like a whole life for yourself, you're creating timelines. Every time you are sitting in a crossroad, right? A crossroads of decisions, and you're going kind of back and forth. I don't know what I should do, when you really do know what you should do, but what you should do is like going against your program, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Every time you are at that fork in the road with, you know what you're supposed to do, but you will hear yourself say, I don't know what to do. This is so difficult. It is. And you are very aware of what you need to do. But what you need to do is going against your current program. Every time you're in those kind of crossroads, you're creating timelines. Every time you are, let's say you're on social media and you see something that somebody else has, and now you've decided that you want to have it, and now you've imagined your life with what they have, or a similar life. You're creating timelines. Timelines, I want you to think of timelines as options. Options, yes, I spelled that right, okay? Timelines are options. These are different options. Imagine going into a store of ice cream, right? The 31 flavors, but it's way more than 31 timelines, right? But you go in and you're like so overwhelmed because you're like, oh my God, this one looks good, this one looks good. That's why it's so important. People say it is important that you know where you're going. Is that making sure that's in frame? It is so important that you know where you are going, okay? I'm going to pause right here of why it's important for you to know where you're going now. Don't forget that timeline, you have an unlimited amount of timelines, right? And you created them throughout since birth. Like every time you're thinking of a potential, like if you were a kid that thought about dinosaurs and aliens, in some of your timelines, there's dinosaurs and aliens. Believe that. I don't care how crazy that sounds. It's the truth. If you didn't admit you're a Willy Wonka in your mind. The wildest thing you have created and thought of in your mind, you have created timelines for it. I don't care how crazy it sounds and seems, but I need you to believe that. It's important that you believe that, because you need to believe that all things are possible. If you're a Christian, I am not. I am atheist in nature, but I still work with people that have Christian backgrounds, and so you'll understand the scriptures that I use. But the scripture says that with God, all things are possible, okay? Now, if I believe that I am God, or if you believe that God is within you, but all things are possible, that means that every timeline that you could possibly think of is possible and exists. Do you see what I'm saying? Your messages have to agree with each other. It's very important. When you're jumping timelines, you guys better thank yourselves that there's a time delay in what you say you want and when you get it. There's a reason why there's a time delay, because you are still matching your programs together, right? You are still matching and making sure that your programs are in alignment. And this is one of those programs that is sometimes can't be in alignment with people because they're thinking they're still limiting themselves. And you have unlimited timelines. That within itself, you're limiting what you think is possible in a world where you have unlimited timelines. Do you see the juxtaposition? Do you see the combat? Do you see the war, the resistance? So now you need to know, no, I have unlimited potential in timelines. I can do and be and go and achieve and express anything that I could imagine and concoct and create. That's really important. And then knowing again that you are God and that all things are possible, or God is within you, so therefore all things are possible. Or even the people that believe, I was made in. I don't like in His image, because I don't like the anthropomorphized version of God that people have made it into be, especially giving it a gender. But for the sake of this conversation, when you're saying that you're made in the image of God, like you have to believe that if you're made in the image of God and with God all things are possible, and you are literally a replica of God, then all things are possible. Anything that you can think of and anything that you can create are possible. Those messages need to align. When they don't align, you have resistance, right? You have resistance. This is really important to know about timelines. And that's why you should be very grateful that there are time lapses in between what you say you want and when you get it. So it gives you time to iron out and make sure that all your belief systems are in agreement with each other, so that the expression can come through without resistance, okay? And so anyway, knowing where you're going is so important, because what I noticed a lot of times with myself is that I had a dream that I had been holding since childhood. Well, as I got older and started to mature and started to fine tune my dream and fine tune what I wanted and where I wanted to go, there were absolutely some things in the childhood dream that I no longer wanted or desired, because that childhood dream was predicated on trauma. That childhood dream was predicated on belief systems that I no longer believed in. And so it would make sense that as those beliefs fall out of me, that part of the dream needed to be altered. And so I, for about a year, had to watch myself, because I was going back and forth between my childhood dream and the new dream, the adult dream, the dream that was more sure of itself, the dream that was based on the adult version of me, the version of me that knew who I was, that understood who I was in a different way, right? Quite frankly, the dream, I talk about diagnosis, pre-diagnosis and post-diagnosis. The dream that I have post-diagnosis, which is so much better because it is according to who I am and not according to who I should be. I hope that you get what I'm saying, right? It's so important that everybody realize that they're not broken. Your responses may be maladaptive, but you yourself are not broken, because you are God, or God is within you, right? You're not broken. Your responses, your program can be maladaptive, but you yourself are perfect, just the way that you are. And you can achieve the life that you want just the way you are, as you are. And when I say as you are, not habits, as you are in, a passionate person, a person that's a lover, a person that's a giver, a person that you don't have to necessarily change those things about yourself. You have to put boundaries around them, right? But you don't have to change those pieces of yourself, because when you do that, you're going back into a toxic cycle of hiding. You're going back into the toxic shadow, right? When you're taking pieces of yourself that you've always had and you love to give, you love to care for people, don't let hurts and people that are not healed themselves, right? Don't let them take that love and that joy, that piece of that's interwoven in you and who you are, right? You just put boundaries around it, and you identify people that cannot be around you because they're not safe. The energy of them or their belief systems will not make that spirit of you, that giving spirit of you, safe. And so, you maneuver people around you. And you can do that by what you entertain. You don't have to have big conversations with people. I do believe that we are not necessarily what we attract, but we are what we entertain. Me being God, I attract any and everything, but what I entertain, what I give my attention back to, what I will stop and address and have a conversation with you is very few things, because I know where I'm going, and I'm very clear as you continue to get clearer and as you work with me, I will teach you strategies to get very clear on where you're going. It's very important because timelines, right, can be very one thing off, or different. Let me use the word different too. So you can have timelines that are right next to each other and they be so similar, right? And there's just small little differences that make them different, right? Well, if you know for a fact that this is the timeline you want to jump into, sometimes it's okay to get near the timeline, right? When you're quantum jumping, this is so funny. V stands for versions, okay? Versions of yourself. And the versions of yourself are, let me get a new little piece. The V equals versions of yourself. And those versions of yourself are predicated on habits or a schedule or a routine or a ritual. These are all the same things in the school of Kelly Marisha, okay? The versions of you are based on your habits, your schedule, your routine, your ritual, things you are consistently doing. The things that you're consistently doing are the actions, and actions have reactions. Okay. Actions have reactions, and the reactions are the things that we want. Reactions are turning us into different personalities, dang near, right? Different versions of ourselves. Anything that we do every day through a schedule, habit, routine, ritual, I don't really care what you call it, right? The mystics are going to call it a ritual. The people that are more left brain, more logical, are going to call it a set of habits and a schedule. It doesn't really matter. Rituals take discipline, habits take discipline, schedules take discipline, routines take discipline, but they are things, a set of things that you do consistently every day. Doesn't matter what it is. Right now, one of my really good friends from middle school and high school is here visiting with me, and what I love about our reconnecting is she's very understanding of, hey, Kelly has a schedule. I understand her schedule, and I'm moving my schedule even when I have company here. I'm very honest with people. Like, I need my schedule. My schedule is going somewhere, right? So I can't get off of my schedule. I will make adjustments maybe, or I'll move things forward and backward, but there are a set of habits and a set of things that I do every day that I need to do every day because I'm going somewhere. I know where I'm going, right? These different versions of me, I know that this is the version of me that I need to be to get to here. This is where I want to be. And sometimes when you're quantum jumping, you can get close. You can get close, right? But it's not quite where I'm trying to go. And how do you know when you're close? You know when you're close. You can feel it. When you're close, that's when you feel resonation. And if you, I hope I spelled that right, resonation. I'm just going to say it out loud, resonation. There's the law of resonation. The 12 universal laws, I definitely want to do a video on that one day, not today though. But resonation basically means when you're close to something that has a similar frequency, that has a similar makeup, that has a similar energy, you and it will basically start vibrating. You'll feel it. When you get close to something that is like you, that you want to be in, that you want to be near, you'll feel it. Have you ever been around somebody and you're like, oh my God, like we are so connected. You guys are in resonance. There's an example that I really love on here on YouTube where a man is playing a violin. There's a violin in one room. He goes into a completely different room and he has a violin in his hand. So there are two violins, one in one room, one in another. And the man begins to play the A string on the violin, and the violin in a totally different room, the A string on that violin starts to vibrate because it's in resonation with the other A string. Why? Because they're both have the frequency of A. They both have the thickness of A. If you know about strings, they're the thickness of it. The wiring is perfectly, because strings are, if you've popped a string before, you know that they're like wires. It's like a lot of wire, tiny, tiny wires. I'm a childhood violinist that are like spun together, and when those pop, you can kind of see some of some of the wiring. But what I'm trying to say is that when it's made of the same thing, when you get close to something and you can feel it, you start to get excited, you start to get even more sure. And of course, what you can see over here, closer to where you want to be, is going to be a lot clearer, knowing where you're going. Okay, do you hear what I'm saying? But let's say you get here and you're like, this feels really good, but I'm not quite there yet, right? I'm not like, it's a little tweak. You just know it's just a little tweak because there's something here, right? Let's say there is, I want to use the example of, I don't want to use that. I want to use some examples that aren't the cliche examples. Okay. A person that can say no, right? Let's say you're a person that cannot say no. You're getting better, but you just can't quite say no, right? And you're closer, right? You feel yourself getting really close and you're saying no better over here, but there's still a version of you where saying no is even tighter, right? You're saying no, but you still have some concessions. Well, I say no to these people now, but not necessarily these people. But this version of you says no to everybody. So you're close, but you're not quite there. And then let's say, you're telling yourself, okay, I'm close. What else do I need to do? How do I get there? So you have a conversation with this version of yourself, right? We have a little conversation. Hey, version of myself, what should I be doing to get closer to you? Oh, and then this version of yourself gives a little conversation back. You need to be doing this. Say less. So this version of you tweaks their habits. It tweaks their routine. It tweaks their ritual. It tweaks what they're doing consistently to get them strong. What are you getting strong for? Because there's gonna be, I hate the word test, but we're gonna use it. There's gonna be a fork in the road. There's gonna be a test for you to say no. And it'll be something very heartbreaking. It'll be like your mama can't afford her medicine. Ooh, that's tough. And most people, especially black people, have this really big, whatever my mama says, I'm gonna do, whatever. And let me tell you, even your mama needs boundaries, right? Especially if she's not being responsible with her money, right? If you're a person that makes good money, you're a success story, but your mom never quite has her shit together and she knows she can depend on you, you gotta stop being your mama's last resort. And the moment you test yourself and you say, damn it, Kelly told me that there was gonna be a moment. And I've been practicing in my schedule and in my routine to get that strength to say no, right? I've been practicing every day saying no. So now it's my mama's turn. I really believe that this is that test. Okay, so you say no to your mama. Your mama's pissed off. You're panicked, okay? The version of you that's panicked is your little child. Your inner child is panicking. Why? Because it's that last little bit of a message from your inner child that if you don't do this for your mom, she's not going to talk to you. She's going to abandon you. But you're to the point where I don't care if I get abandoned. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to see what it's going to be, right? I'm going to see whatever it is. I'm going to see. So you say no to your mom, right? She's pissed for 6 months, but guess what? You feel strong. You are now in the timeline where you're trying to be. You've made it to your timeline to where, because you knew where you were going. Because this version of you that you saw was very strong. This version of you knew when to say no so that they weren't wasting their resources. This version of you knew to say no so that you could attract people that were really in your life for you and for who you are and not for what you can provide for them. I hope that you guys can understand this. So knowing where you're going is important. It's not just understanding like the stuff you want. It's more so understanding what kind of personality do you want to have? When I say the version of you, I mean the personality of you. What character? What are you playing? Who are you in this timeline? Right? When you see you see an image of yourself. Like I implore you, when you start to imagine yourself and you think about your future, really sit down and get a pencil and paper, write this stuff down. Don't commit it to memory. Don't try to keep it in your head. Write it down, write it in your phone. If you're afraid to write things down on paper, write it in your phone. But you need to be asking yourself, what am I wearing? This version of me, how do I dress? How do I speak? What is my posture like? How do I talk? The version of me that I saw worked out. I'm in the gym every day. That's why when you look at my content, you see me working out. If you're looking at my content, especially if you're looking at my face in the last 2 years, my little chubby cheeks, they're not disappearing because these chubby cheeks are here to stay. But you can see my face getting thinner. Why? Because I took on the habit, and it's in my daily schedule, that I work out every day. Because I knew the version of me, I saw her, and she was smaller. How else are you going to get smaller? I had to adopt a habit of eating differently and of working out every day, right? Of moving my body. Therefore, I jumped to that version of myself. Now, people don't realize, can you go backwards in a timeline, or can you get off of your perfect timeline? Absolutely, you can. If I decide to stop working out and decide to start eating all through the day and all through the night again, I'll jump my ass back over to another timeline, be somewhere I don't want to be. Where am I? Yeah, because you got off of your routine. Your routine, your set of habits, and your schedule are going to dictate and determine which timeline you're in. But you need to know where you're going. You need to know who you are trying. I'm going to use the word trying to be. And I was hesitant to stop using the word try because it's practice. Who are you practicing to be? You know, I work with a lot of people, and especially in the beginning, everybody they don't realize how tough I'm going to be. And I don't care. Like, you're going to give me an excuse. You're going to say something about your kids. You're going to say something about something, and I'm going to look at you dead in your face and say, I don't give a fuck about any of that. Where the fuck are you going, right? You don't understand that this is a game. You don't understand that none of this shit is real. I know that a lot of times, kids are your biggest blessing, and I really want kids to one day, but kids are also a weakness. And I'm going to explain that. Kids can be a weakness as far as the bravery that parents can have to take risks. And because you're thinking about, if this risk doesn't go well, it won't go well for the kid, right? Not realizing that there are people on the other side that are like, if you don't jump, it's gonna go well. But when you're so scared of it not going well, or you had a history where things didn't go well, and you don't want to jeopardize anything for your kids, it can keep you really still. It can keep you from making the necessary jumps because you're trying to stay protective of you and your kids. So I understand that, because I know, but I'm gonna do it, right? Even though I say it's a weakness, I'm very clear, but I'm about to get weak. And I love it. I still want my kids, and whatever weakness and sensitivity they bring out on me, I am, I'm sorry, I was reading a text message. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I know, but I'm going to have all the vulnerability and weakness when it's my turn, and I'm excited about it. But it's still important to know that sometimes when you have kids, you got to be willing to jump even with the kids, even with your fear, because the best things in life are on the other side of fear. I know it. I'm living it, right? So knowing where you're going and who are you practicing to be, who are you every day on your set of habits and schedule and belief and routine, who are you practicing to be every day? If every time you have a schedule, and like if you're working with me, especially like I said in the beginning, boy, it's a lot of resistance in the beginning. Lots of resistance in the beginning. But if I give you a schedule and you do good for the first 4 days, and then day 5 and day 6, you're like, well, then you start giving me a bunch of excuses. I'm looking at you dead in your face like, I don't give a fuck, right? You are practicing to be right where you were. You're practicing inconsistency. And you're practicing breaking promises to yourself. You're practicing mistrust in yourself. You're practicing that, right? And if that's what you want to continue to practice, you will make a move and think that, oh yeah, I made this big change, but honey, you just went to the timeline right here, right? This is where you is. You didn't do a jump for real. You kind of just slid over. And if that's enough for you, fine. But this is not the program for sliding over one. This is the program that's trying to jump, okay? I want a lily pad jump. I love to teach people how to jump years. I don't want to teach you how to just jump a week. I want to teach you how to jump years in advance, especially if you're working with me and you're close to the age of 40. What? We've got to make larger jumps, right? When we're just getting in our 40s, we're like, wait a minute. I got to run now, and I can teach you how to do that in the correct way that's sustainable for you, right? Anyway, you need to know where you're going. You need to know who you're trying to practice to be. Are you trying to practice and be exactly who you are, being inconsistent, doing it for a couple days, getting a little dopamine hit, but then the muscle is not strong enough and you're not even trying to build the muscle, so you stay in the timeline that you're in? Or are you trying to really gain some discipline and some muscle in your habits and your daily discipline and your spiritual practice so that you can get into a timeline that you want to be in, right? So, and listen, the different timelines will talk to you. When you have an image of yourself and a timeline that you want to be in, if you get clear on where you're going and what kind of person you're practicing to be, that person from that timeline will start communicating to you. That person, even let's just say it's this timeline, will start communicating to you and telling you what you need to do so that you can get here. But again, it takes the discipline of routine to get there, to do that, right? So let me recap, because I got a delivery coming and I want to get off so that I can coordinate my delivery. It's the nighttime, baby. You know the nighttime, night and day is the right time, baby, right and day. Okay, so timelines are unlimited. You can literally, anything that you can concoct and believe and create. You, as a creator, as God being within you, as being made in the image of God, can create unlimited possibilities, unlimited options of timelines that you can go into, okay? And you are the one who is creating the timelines. Nobody is sitting there saying, nope, you can't come into this timeline because you don't deserve it. Or you can't come into this timeline because you disobeyed my rules. You can't come into this timeline because you didn't respect my commandments. Fuck you and your commandments. It's my commandments. I command myself. I am God of my life, right? I go into the timelines that I created them. How you gonna tell me that I can't go into the timelines that I created? As God, I get to go and be and do anything that I want to do in my life, right? And so I've got all these timelines, and I'm creative as hell. If you were a child that was in your room a lot, especially in the 80s, we had TVs, but everybody didn't have TVs in their room. You were still imagining. Children from the 70s and 80s, we got timelines out of this world because we were imagining. You hear me? We were using our imaginations. These kids in the 90s and 80s, their timelines are different because their timelines were like, they had so much influence giving them what they were giving them stuff. We were creating stuff in our rooms by ourselves, right? And so, and drawing and Lincoln Logs and Legos, and come on, we were doing it. We have like unlimited possibilities of timelines we could be jumping into, right? But the timelines are dictated on different versions of you, versions of yourself. And the versions of yourself are basically your personality. And your personality can change. And I'm not talking about split personalities, Jekyll and Hyde. I'm not talking necessarily about that. But when you were the personality, for me, my personality 5 years ago was irresponsible as fuck, right? Irresponsible as fuck. My spending was erratic. My eating was erratic. Everything about me there was no order, no structure, no order to my life. And so I had that personality of a very wild, fun person. Didn't like it. So I communicated to the future version of myself like, hey, I'm ready to be over here. Who, tell me what I need to do. So this version of myself started giving me instructions on what I needed to do every day in my habits, in my schedule, my routine, making a ritual for myself. My ritual starts off at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I go outside and I'll walk for an hour. That's my ritual. My ritual is meal prepping. My ritual is stretching. My ritual is taking a nap. My ritual is my skincare. My ritual is brushing my teeth every day. These are my rituals, right? Because I knew where I'm going. I wanted a life of leisure and I wanted a life of luxury. I didn't want to get up and go to no job every day. I didn't want to clock in with nobody. I don't want to ask nobody for time off. I didn't want to do any of that shit, right? So I communicated to the version of myself that had already made it, that was already here in Mexico, living well. And while I was homeless in that SUV, I was in the SUV for 7 months, homeless. It was cold. It was hot. There were days I couldn't even move my SUV because I had so little gas. I knew that once I started it, I had to make a beeline. And there would be times I wouldn't even stop at the stoplights because I said, if I stop at the stoplight, this thing is gonna conk out because there's no gas. The light is on. But even in that moment, I was communicating. This version of me was communicating with myself. This is what you need to do. You need to get a schedule. You need to get a routine. You need to be doing these things every day. And I did that. And then literally in 6 weeks, I jumped to Mexico. From when I started my schedule to when I got to Mexico was a 6-week window. I quantum jumped in 6 weeks by listening to the instructions of my future self, telling me what I needed to do to get to here, right? So it's really important. And that part of my personality of just like sleeping all day and not having any rhyme or reason to my day, that was left, that died. That part of me, I had to mourn and grieve that side of me because it was no longer living. I am not that person. I need a schedule. Being off of a schedule feels nasty. I do not like it. In fact, I have to, on days where I'm supposed to rest, I have to talk to myself like, you rest without guilt, without feeling like you need to get up. It takes me about an hour or two to tell myself, I don't have to be on the schedule today. You can lay down and rest. Sometimes I try to give myself a once a week rest, but sometimes I love my schedule so much. It's like a Snuggie, right? Sometimes I love in my schedule so much. I'm so comfortable. I'm so happy and secure in my schedule. I don't realize I done went two weeks and I didn't take a break. And because it's just that yummy for me. I teach you how to create a schedule and a routine that feels good. I don't want you creating a schedule and a routine based on the 12 things that successful people tell you to do. Man, that timeline might be somewhere over here, and that's not even where you're trying to go. You trying to go over here, man, and you doing somebody else's schedule and what somebody else told you to do. You're gonna end up in Tucumcari. Like, what the fuck? How did I end up over here? I didn't want to be over here. Because that wasn't your schedule. It wasn't the personality you wanted to be. So you should have been following that. I teach you how to create the schedule that's yummy and delicious for who you are trying to be so that you want to do it, right? For me, discipline is not about making yourself do what you don't want to do. It's about making yourself do what you want to do consistently. I'm going to say that one more time. It's not about, discipline is not about making yourself, for me, it is not about me making myself do what I don't want to do. It's about finding out what I do want to do and making myself do that consistently. And you'll think, well, if you want to do it, you'll do it every day. That's not true. Everything is a practice. It's a spiritual practice. I got to sound it out. I told you I'm dyslexic as hell. It's a practice, and you got to practice it every day. You practice it through a schedule. You practice it through habits, routine, ritual. These are all the same things. All the same things. All the same things. If you're a mystic, you'll say ritual, and that makes you feel better, right? Because you feel like it's magic involved, and I don't care. Or if you're more logical, use the word habits, a set of habits, a schedule, a routine. It's all the same thing. It's a spiritual practice. You're practicing the version of yourself. You're practicing that version of yourself so that way you can pull yourself towards the timeline of that version of yourself. I hope you guys are feeling what I'm saying here. It's important to know where you're going so that you can make sure that you're going into the correct timelines that you want to be in. It's important that you know who you're trying to practice to be. You're not trying to practice to be these nice white men, these muscly white men that yell at you on the YouTube. You get your ass up and you slob. Like, no. I ain't trying to be over there like you. I'm not trying to have your personality. My personality over here is very quiet. I go out rarely, once or twice a year. You're going to see me at an event. I prefer to be at home. I prefer to be with some nice 420 activities. I prefer to cook at home. Like, this is where I ain't trying to be over here with them. I'm not Grant Cardone, love him, but I ain't trying to be over here with him. I'm trying to be over here. I'm trying to be with Oprah. No, she might be too busy for me. Cree Summer, that's my girl. I love Cree Summer. She's so happy. She does what she wants to do. She lives in a pirate ship, and her children have cool names. She's so cool and just mellow, man. Lisa Bonet. These were my like, I just loved them growing up, right? I'm trying to be over here. I'm trying to be calm. I'm trying to live in the tropics. I'm trying to live in the jungle. I live in the tropics. I literally jumped where I wanted to be. I wear my muumuus every day. This is where I wanted to be, right? I'm not a drinker, right? But I'm just going to start drinking out of wine glasses because I do see myself drinking out of like fancy glasses. But I don't really like drinking. So I'll put my diet squirt, my diet squirt in my wine glass, right? But I see and I know who I'm trying to practice to be. So that's who I practice to be every day. Whether you have company or not, you stay in character. Whether you have an audience or not, you stay in character. It's if you know anything about acting and if you know anything about method acting, it's method acting. You stay in character 24 hours of the day until who you were is non-existent anymore. You don't even remember who you were. It is literally, thinking back to who I was almost feels like a different person because in essence it is. And energetically, it is a different person. And you become a different person through timeline jumping. So I hope that you guys enjoy this. Make sure that you like this video. If you like what the content that I'm starting to present, please let me know by liking the video and share the video with just one person. You guys, my goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by my birthday, which is April 3rd. Aries, baby, big Aries energy. My big three is I'm an Aries sun, Sagittarius moon, and an Aries rising. I'm all fire. Like 60% of my chart is fire, maybe 70% of my chart is fire. So I'm very passionate about what I believe and what I know. And I hope that you guys, like I said, take your time and look through my content, look through all my content. See if you vibrate on my frequency. Like, I'm a normal girl, I'm a calm girl, but my luxury is that my time is all mine. I don't sell my time to anybody. Nobody has control of my time. I do what I want to do when I want to do it. I am the ultimate authority in my life, and that is my flex. That is my luxury. It is not stuff. It is not things, because that's not who I am. I'm an experience woman. I love experiences. I love relationships more than stuff. That's not my thing. But living here in Mexico has been a grand experience. It has changed my life. But the food that I eat every day now is a better quality, is a more elevated, it's luxurious. The food I eat has less processing, and that is a luxury, because people in the United States don't have the luxury of trying to, like, they're charging you extra for organic, right? But here, most everything is organic and just naturally, right? Especially the produce and whatnot. And so that's a luxury. I live a very leisurely and luxurious life. And so I hope that you guys can see that through my videos. And if I resonate with you, and if it's something that you're getting with, you're liking the energy, make sure you subscribe and watch the videos, follow me. And I hope that you guys are getting something from this content, learning how to quantum jump, learning how to really get yourself into positions that you want to be in. And if you don't have a community that you're linked with already, like, I would love to add you into my WhatsApp group. My email is Kelly Marisha, just like the name on here, kellymarisha@gmail. And if you want to, you can leave your telephone number and I will add you to my WhatsApp group. It's a WhatsApp community. Remember that I am atheist agnostic, so it is a group that is not faith-based. We are an energetic group. So if you're offended by that kind of language, that might not be the group for you. But if you're a person that misses fellowship with people, and really it's me. I've said it so that it's just me talking, and you don't have to get overwhelmed by people, having conversations. It's just me. For now, just kind of giving you guys encouraging words, letting you know when videos are up and things of that nature. So if you're interested in that, you can email me your number and I will put you into that group. Also, if you want to work with me, you can also email me through at kellymarisha@gmail.com. I have monthly sessions. I do prefer that people work with me for at least a year or two. So, if you can talk to me about that. We can talk about budget and whatnot. But I love working with people long term, because changing patterns and changing a belief system do not happen overnight. And I do not want to be neglectful and tell you, there are a lot of people that will give you messages and let you believe that, just like in church, you're going to turn around 3 times and it's going to be done. And it won't be, because these patterns didn't happen overnight. And sometimes they don't go away overnight. And sometimes you do need someone walking beside you, being your accountability, being your harsh words sometimes, being your love sometimes, being nurturing when you need, being the discipline when you need. And I love nurturing people in that way. I love my mother energy, my auntie energy, my big sister energy, whatever you want to call it. It is a superpower of mine, and it makes me happy to do. So if you are interested in working with me, let me know, kellymarisha@gmail. Or if you want to be a part of the WhatsApp group, it's just starting. It's about 10 people today, but it's a small group. I like small groups, but I anticipate this thing is going to be huge, because that's what I saw, right? So I'm excited to stay in alignment with what I saw and what I heard to do. And that's another quantum jump that you'll see right before your eyes, that group will be wonderful in number. So make sure you share this video with somebody, like it, subscribe to my channel. I love myself. I love you. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about. And that's it. Bye.